Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got my overnight highs up here, overnight lows down here. We're in this range right here. Now, I will get to these arrows. These are here for a reason. I just have them moved to the side for now. So we have this overnight high, overnight low. We're in this range. We push off what formed the overnight high. So we have this first entry long, second entry long failure. Now, it does have two legs down already, but it's just to reach this measured move here. And it's just 1-to-1, 2 points. It's very small, just to reach that measured move. Now, it doesn't have STT because you can't draw STT off of the signal bar, and since it's a failure, I don't really care about the signal bar at all. So we push lower here, and also it rejected the EMA there. So we push lower here. We're in this downtrend. We have this break. We push down to a new low. That's just a first entry short right here. Lower high. It's a big picture lower high, but it's just we pushed up, pushed down. There's no real trend here. We're just in this range, so it's not a good enough reason to take this lower high. Now, we reached the overnight low here, and this is not reason enough to enter long just because you reached the overnight low. Now, if you had say this downtrend had a break and two measured legs down to this overnight low, then that'd be something to look at, but it's not like it's at the end of a measured move. It's not like these bigger legs are a measured move either. So that's not enough reason to go long there just from that bounce. Just because it's forming a good signal bar off the overnight low. But we push higher here, we push above the EMA, we push back below, back above, back below. It's just going sideways there. There's no clear entries. Now, some may view this as this first leg up here, and then we have the second stronger leg up there, and that is true, but on a bigger picture, this is one leg higher here. And so when you come off the overnight low or high, whenever you come off one side of a range, you can expect prices to reach the other side, or at least attempt to reach the other side. And so we have this first attempt here with this leg up. So this first leg up, break, we can expect a possible second leg up when we start forming a swing here. Now, price will try to reach this measured move. It'll try to it'll also try to play the range rules, get to the other side, and the measured move is nearly to the range high here. Now, notice how we have this, two legs back here, and then we have these two attempts to reach that measured move and reach the highs, but it's clearly finding resistance right here. It's just chopping around, it's chopping sideways, it's going through the EMA. Now, I was looking for a short right here, and there's just not a very good setup here. Now, if we had gotten this if this had closed below the EMA, then I would have liked it for a limit order because you would have needed to get out before the lows here still. Now, even though price had been chopping through the EMA here, you have this major measured move in play, and you're also making this higher high in the range or higher low in the range right here. And then it clearly held off the EMA there, and then even on that, this bar right here, it held onto the EMA while being straight sideways. So just because you're going through the, chopping through the EMA doesn't always mean that you can enter into it. In this case, once again, we had this higher low right here, and then it was just straight sideways. So it's just choppy, and have this big measured move in play. There's really no reason to enter short right here. If we had closed below, then that would be something, just because you'd want to get out at these lows down here, but that's too risky there. But we pushed lower here, and also another reason I liked it was because it was, this downtrend was possibly in play, and I was, it did end up holding. I was thinking it might not have held because of, the chop in this measured move right here and this higher high or higher low. So I ended up just being safe, not taking it. And at first, these lows were actually right here. So we have this downtrend here off that low right there. Now we push lower here, we plummet out of the overnight low, and then we start reversing here, which that's when these arrows come into play here. So I'm going to remove these really quick just to declutter, and then add these. So this is this trade right here. This is a big picture failed second entry. These trades are easier to miss because you have to zoom out to see them. Sometimes it's easy to get so focused on every little detail that you don't see the bigger picture here. But we have this downtrend, we have this bearish imbalance because, once again, we pushed higher here and then we were unable to make a second leg higher to reach the overnight high. So this is a bearish imbalance. We could not reach the other side. We pushed lower here. Now, first entry long, second entry long, failure. I was wanting it to reach the trend line here. That way I can get an entry and just get out before these lows down here. This channel low. Now, this channel does not confirm on either side. It's just you got 2 on this side and only 1 on this side. It overshoots before it even has a second hold on the highs. Then we just push out of the channel here as well as the overnight low. And we have this red measured move in play, which actually has to do with this trade right here. If we say this leg right here reached that measured move, I would not want to be entering short right here because the chance of fading would be too high. But the context here is a very major failed second entry, a very huge picture failed second entry with a bearish imbalance, with this downtrend, and with this bearish measured move in play. Now, I would not want to push it past this swing right here because, it might not reach the measured move. It might just make a double bottom and then fade, which I pushed it a little bit past, but that's fine. Once again, the context is very, very strong here. And we pushed lower here. We started going sideways. At first, it was like this. We had this sideways. We broke out. We faded back in. This short right here, that's just a first entry with no room, really. It's not good enough to enter that. You'd have to push it through this resistance right here, and once again, it's just a first entry. So I don't like that. After we started holding more down here, that's when I extended it to here. Then you get this, just a first entry. It looks like a strong push above the EMA, and then it's just a first entry. So once again, I'd be afraid of it fading still, because you could view it as this attempt to reach the measured move, break, second attempt to reach this red measured move, and then a possible failure. And so you would want to have much better short entry before you go short. That just shot above the EMA. First entry short, not good enough. But we do keep going into this. At this point, after we take off here, you can draw this downtrend here, and then you get this correction here. It doesn't reach the EMA here. Once again, it doesn't reach the EMA. We push lower here. We reach this trend line low here, and then we bounce off of it, but we don't reach the EMA again, and that's just a first entry anyway. Then we overshoot this downtrend here as well as this larger downtrend here, and so we push out of it. And then after we push out of it, we get this first attempt higher, second attempt higher. So these 2 legs right here on a bigger picture is just 1 leg. Then you get this 2-legged, we attempt to reverse. You get these 2 legs back here. It's really just sideways, staying within this range here, but it is 2 legs back, as you can see. After those 2 legs back, we attempt to reach this measured move here, because after you start taking off here, you can tell that this is where the swing is, and then you can, say this is where the measured move likely is. And then you put it there. We have this first attempt to reach that measured move, second attempt to reach the measured move, and then we fail. And I missed out on this because I was having late breakfast, but so here, I wouldn't want to take that closing above this trend line, this range line here, because you could just bounce right off of it and reach that measured move here. So what I would want to do is, since this measured move is still technically in play, and you would be shorting low at this point, which we are very bearish, but this is still shorting low immediately after an overshoot. And so remember, overshoots often lead to breaks, and so when this overshoot had this measured move in play, you should be worried about it reaching it. But when you close below the trend line, or this range line here, that's literally closing below resistance, which would then have protection against reaching that measured move there. So that's why I wouldn't want to enter on a bar like that right here where it's above. I would want to wait for it to close below. Even though it's not a perfect bar, that still looks totally fine as long as you get in with a limit order, because even though, that's not that bad pushing it out that much, but you are entering into like the low of the day, basically. Like you're shorting very low is the point, and it's buy low, sell high, and at this point you're basically selling low, but you do have plenty of room if you take a limit order. So I like that trade. I didn't get in on it. It was already gone by the time I got back from breakfast, but lower high, no room. We keep going down. We just keep plummeting. So it's like we get this next overshoot right here, which when you adjust this trend line here, it does hold off of this pretty well here, which I ended up extending it to that. And we push off of it here. We have this first attempt higher here. So this is a very strong reversal area, because once again, this was a second overshoot right here, because you don't have to extend the trend line after the first overshoot, especially if it doesn't even reach the other side here. But we have the second overshoot, and then when it took off here, then you drag it lower. Clearly it's fitting well. So at this point, you may it's pretty clear this downtrend is still in play. So we push higher here, very, very strongly. It's just, kind of out of nowhere, very strong push higher. And even though we, have this strong push higher, I don't want to go long just yet because we've been bearish all day at this point. Like the entire day has been straight down basically. So just because we have one very strong push higher isn't good enough to immediately go long. And then when you get this higher low here, it's, it did push below the EMA. And so it's just not good enough, but it does work out very strongly here. And then you have this measured move here. After you start pushing up here, you can tell that that's where the swing is. You can put your measured move right there. Now, the way I was viewing this was we have this measured move in play. First attempt to reach the measured move, second attempt to reach the measured move. Not wanting to buy the entire thing because I was just wanting it to, continue with the downtrend here. And what I was wanting to happen here was after reaching this measured move, I was hoping we would just push below and continue with this downtrend. But that's not what happened. We actually had this uptrend right here, and it basically held right here. We didn't get any good setups here, no good setups to go short. If you entered all the way down here, there would just be no room down to this low down here, which the low wasn't confirmed at that point, but the highs were, and it was clear that we were sideways there. So I'll show you a visual here. So you would not want to push it that far out. Now we just push higher here. We continue this trend. It fits well off the highs, when you drag it off that low right there. And we push up, and this is where I got stopped out here. So here's how I viewed this. We have this measured move in play. Perfect measured move right off that signal bar. Off of this major key entry point here, major downtrend key entry point. And like I said, also off that measured move here. Now, the reason I think it lost, because this does look like a good trade. This might just be one of those times where you're not going to win every trade, even if they're decent setups, because this isn't scalping. This is going for larger targets here. But the reason I think it lost is because it was such a strong reversal, and then you had this slight STT. Now, the STT wasn't very significant because it was just barely able to be drawn in time. But that was a very strong reversal, so that's why I think it lost. But that does look like a decent entry. I think it's just one of those times that you'll lose a decent looking entry there. But that's right off a major key entry point, right off that measured move, good signal bar. It did close below that key entry point there. It never closed out, so I think it looks good. I think it's just one of those times. But anyway, as soon as I got stopped out, it immediately did what I wanted it to. We pushed lower here. We're kind of going into this range now. So I guess we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, I guess that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you watching. Hope this helped in some way. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time.